Hello, my name's Ned, and for this video, I'm going to be talking about the scenarios and the topic of surrendering in League of Legends, and when it's okay to surrender, and when it's not okay to surrender, and when you should be trying to win the game. So, the video is obviously titled Don't Surrender, but I feel like that's a little bit misleading because I'm going to outline some of the times where it is okay to surrender and when the game really is lost. And to start, I'm gonna ask a question. Are you the type of player where you want to play the game for fun or you want to play the game to win? And I think that's important to understand when you're trying to um, determine whether or not you should call that surrender vote or whether or not you should vote yes to that surrender vote. Because I play a majority normal games in League of Legends, right? I don't play a lot of ranked. I play a little bit of ranked, and when I'm playing normal games, I'm the kind of player who wants to play for fun. I Winning is fun, so oftentimes I have more fun when I win, but I've had plenty of fun losing. And so when that's the case, unless everybody on my team is feeding and I'm feeding and I'm just not having a good time and I can't come back in the game at all, it's not competitive, and the other enemy team's stomping so hard they're probably not even having fun, then that's when I'll vote yes to the surrender vote. I just want to get out of there. I want to pick a new champion. I want to try something new. I want to play a new game. Maybe I don't have a lot of time. I got to go to class, whatever. But there's also outside of that, when I'm playing normal games, I pretty much will never surrender. If I'm doing decently, if my team is doing decently, really, if anything's going fine in the game, I shouldn't be calling the surrender vote or voting yes to the surrender vote because I can still have a good time. We can still come back. We can still do well. And I don't really even care if we win as long as the game is close and competitive and there's cool moments and whatever, and I'm laughing with my friends. So unless I'm getting completely destroyed, I don't think I'm going to surrender because I like to play for fun. But if you're the player who plays to win, if for whatever reason the game comes to a point where your team can't come back, or it's very unlikely that you're going to come back, then I feel like it's okay to surrender. So let's say your bot lane win a collective 2 and 12, right? So they're like your support's 1 and 6 and your AD carries 1 and 6, right? So you're not having a good game, and maybe you're like 2 and 2 in the mid lane, and your top laner's like 1 and 3. So everybody's doing poorly, and they've taken the dragons and they're about to get Baron and they've taken all your middle turrets except and your inhibs exposed, and it's like pretty much there's nothing you can do. They have pressure on all lanes. Okay, you're probably not going to win that game. You can surrender, and your teammates, if they're the same kind of players, will surrender. But listen, once you call a surrender vote and it gets rejected, don't keep calling surrender votes. All you're doing is saying to your team that you've given up and you don't want to play the game anymore. And try to try to attack it from their mentality. Maybe they still want to have a good time, and maybe you can still have a good time even though you're not going to win the game, right? Because not all players are playing just to win. And I think specifically in normal games, I don't know why encounter so many people playing the normal games that are just so try hard and all they care about is winning. If you want to have that mentality, that's fine. Go play ranked, right? So, um, so now let's head into the ranked talk because that's a little bit different than normal games. In ranked, everybody's playing to win, or at least most people are. Some people just go to have fun, which clearly we've all encountered. But uh, I think in ranked, surrendering is a little bit of a different story. So here's the times where it's absolutely not okay to surrender. When you're feeding, but your team is doing fine, you cannot call a surrender vote because then you're just telling your team that, like I said previously, you've given up. And it's not okay to give up when your team is still trying to win because you're the one who's making them carry you, right? So I think I'll do a video later of how to get carried because I think it's a interesting topic that not a lot of people think about. A lot of people make videos on how to carry or how not to feed, but nobody makes a video on how to be an easy teammate to deal with when you're not doing well, right? So so to recap, don't call the surrender vote when you are feeding. Now, if your teammate who's 7 and 3 calls the surrender vote, you can vote yes. Okay, so because they're like, oh shit, this guy's playing terrible. I can't carry him, and then you have to swallow your pride, and you have to realize that okay, yeah, maybe I should surrender because the person on my team who's doing well and trying to carry me has given up. But when you're the one who's doing poorly, don't call the surrender vote. Now, when you're the one who's doing well, I also would advise against calling the surrender vote and saying, no, I can't carry you. You should try to make the person feel like you can carry them, and you should try to make them feel like they should be a teammate that wants to be carried, right? Because it's just benefits everybody for winning the game. And calling surrender votes when people vote no is always gonna lower the team morale. And so again, I'm gonna repeat it. If you call the surrender vote and people vote no, don't call another surrender vote. They haven't given up on the game yet, which means you shouldn't either, because then there's still a chance to win. I've had some people, which this is the worst. You lose one team fight, but you're still ahead in kills and towers, and you're still winning the game. And they're like, "Oh shit, GG, we lost because we lost that team fight." And it's in the mid game, so they're not going to get that many objectives, and you're still going to be ahead, and you can still clearly win. You're still at the advantage, and they still want to call the surrender vote because they're tilted from losing that one team fight. Like, these are just really illogical things that a lot of players do, and I don't know. I clearly don't understand it because I'm making the video about it, and I'm trying to plead with the League of Legends community that surrendering is not always the option. Now, let me end the video by saying I get it. A lot of you guys, you don't have a lot of time to play video games, and you want to get as many games in as you can in one day, and you feel like if there's any chance you're going to lose the game, you want to get it over with as quickly as possible so you can go to the next one. But think about it this way: if there's a chance that you can win the game and you're going to spend an extra 15 minutes doing it, that might be worth more than playing another game that you could potentially lose. So, because basically it's just a game of percents, and I don't feel like doing the math in my head right now. But to outline it sort of just like shakily, let's say if you play the game for, so let's say you have a game and you're 30% likely to win if you play it for 15 minutes because you're 15 extra minutes because you're behind, but you can make a comeback. Uh, you know that if you surrender that game, it's a 100% loss. So already the odds are 30% versus 30%. And then you're going to play another game, or 30% versus 0% to win. And then you're going to play another game that's going to take at least 20 minutes, provided the enemy team surrenders or you surrender, which is a 50% chance that you're going to win. So, granted, you're spending, you have a higher chance to win the next game you play. You're also spending at least 5 more minutes to play that game, right? And that's if you're lucky or very ill, not lucky. And then so you could be spending another 45 minutes playing that game, and then you've spent 35 minutes more for just a 20% higher chance, right? So you have to look at it at a cost of numbers versus percentile, or minutes versus percentiles. And so in that scenario, you're it's like it's really just, I guess it's a judgment call, but I think the one that, as long as your team doesn't want to surrender, I think the sort of thing that will leave everybody feeling better is the game that you continue to play out with your team that is actually trying to win, rather than the surrender vote you call and that succeeds, and then you having to go to a new game that you don't know if you're going to win or lose. All right, I'll end the video here, and thanks for watching.